Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor Software Pro. In today's video I'd like to look at how the YM unfolded yesterday, and particularly I'd like to look at this particular cell setup here that unfolded at 10:21 New York time. First, if we look at the STF colour, remember our STF is our trend indicator that gives our larger degree trend for our new MTPredictor customers. You'll see that the STF turned black stroke red later in the day, indicating the trend was down. However, this first setup here, because it was early in the day and has unfolded right after the major high here, the STF colour was blue. Now this is a particular advanced trade setup that I particularly like, and is why I want to do this video today. What we teach is for the more experienced MTPredictor users, rather than to use the STF colour, which just like any other indicator is always going to be lagging, we always like to go to the larger degree charts. So in this case it's going to be the 15-minute chart. Now here we use leading indicators, which are DPs and WPTs. The reason we do this is these can be on the chart in advance. So before yesterday even opened here, we would have had a DP off this major high back here, and as you can see that had a second attempt into that decision point high as yesterday opened. Also there was another pivot high here, and we would have also had a decision point off there. And as you can see, that actually nailed the high and gave us the larger degree resistance as well. Please remember that this decision point would have been on your chart as resistance before yesterday even opened. So MTPredictor customers were ready for this resistance and anticipating a decline. Once this high came in, also if we use the Elliott wave tool in MTPredictor, can you see how this last rally up into this high here was actually a 5-wave advance, with the high at the minimum wave 5 WPT. So this gave an added reason why the YM was making a high as of just after the open yesterday. Can you see how that's a 5-wave decline up there? So that combined with our DP resistance off here and also our DP resistance off here gave us basically 3 reasons why there was a major high at that particular point in time. So with that in mind, let's go down to our shorter term charts and see how this unfolded. Remember, this would have been a major high here, and in fact actually if I go to the 15-minute chart and I just put that on, you can see that a little bit clearer. There's the decision point there. So now if I go back to the 3-minute chart, can you see how there's the resistance on that chart there for you? So that would have been there ready as this high came in. So what does that mean for you as an advanced trader? Well, you knew that this was larger degree 15-minute resistance. Therefore we had an initial decline off that, which in Elliott wave terms would normally be a wave 1 because this was a major high. We then had an initial correction coming up here into our TS1 cell, so therefore in Elliott wave terms this would be a wave 2. Now what happens after a wave 2? Well, you normally get a strong wave 3 decline, and as you can see that's exactly what happened. There's your 1, there's your 2, there's your wave 3 decline. So what does that mean for an MTPredictor trade setup? Well, ideally we need to get into a trade setup here, because a wave 2 is the end of the first correction against the first move off an initial high, which is what we had here. But the main advantage of this is because you're getting into a wave 3 is normally the strongest and longest move in any completed Elliott wave sequence, so normally has the largest profit potential for the smallest initial risk. We call this our Holy Grail trade setup. So let's put our oops, missed. Sorry, my mouse is a bit funny today. So let's put our trade analysis on here. Now, as I've said, this would normally be considered a wave 2 because it's the initial correction of the initial move off a prior important high. So therefore the move off this we anticipate to be a wave 3. So therefore we're not looking to go into our first target. At the very least we're looking to come down here into our typical wave 3 WPT target, which is down here. And as you can see, this would have represented a potential 5.9R profit. We use correct position sizing to keep our initial risk small under control. when the market got down to this level here, we come down and we can see our STF was strong. In the absence of any larger degree 15-minute support at this area, because the STF was strong, would simply start to trail with our ATR stop, which is our red dots here. So in reality, the market would have gone, or the trade would have gone down a little bit lower and would have stopped you out about here. But now, can you see the beauty of this particular trade setup? And because the profit at this particular level here would have been approximately 6.5R, in other words a profit of approximately $2,500, or for initial risk of what we call 1R, one risk unit, for approximately $385 or 2% of a sample $20,000 account in this case. And this is why I like this trade setup so much, and why we call it the Holy Grail trade setup. Not because it has a high probability of success, it's because when the trades unfold, the profits are much, much larger than initial risks. And as you can see in Elliott wave terms, this allows you to get into a strong wave 3 type correction right as the wave 2 is ending. So the key points to this are that first and foremost we look for the larger degree support and resistance, in this case resistance on the larger degree charts. That defines our start point. In other words, that defines our major high in this particular example. Then we look for the initial correction of that major high, which is down into there, which would be considered a wave 1. Our initial correction, which then subdivides into an ABC, will be considered a wave 2. We then look for the strong wave 3 move off that. And this was a very good example, particularly as that 15-minute resistance area would have been on your chart in advance before yesterday even opened. So I hope this has been a good example of an absolute classic MTPredictor Holy Grail trade setup, and as you can see, a very good result indeed. How did the market unfold for the rest of the day? Well, we came up here and had a couple of attempts at a standard MTPredictor trade setup, but these actually failed and would have come out with -1R losses. Very frustrating that just got clipped out to the tick before moving to new lows. But even if you'd had two losing trades here, these would have been -1 and -1R, which would have been a lot smaller than our +6R profit earlier in the day. This TS1 sell setup here, if we now go to the larger degree chart, and I now put the DP off this pivot here that unfolded during the day, can you see how the market came down, and actually the low of the day was actually right at our 15-minute decision point to support here. So this TS1 sell setup, which was about here, would have been against the new uptrend and therefore would have been ignored. And this just shows you the power of using the DPs on the larger degree charts, because in this particular example and how the market unfolded yesterday, we'd have actually nailed the very high of the day at those levels there, and then as the swings unfolded during the day, we then were able to catch the very low of the day there as well. So a very, very good result, and it's very nice to have these levels on the chart in advance so you're ready for them before they even get there. So that was the YM and how it unfolded yesterday. So for the standard trade setups, slightly frustrating that we just got clipped out there for a small losing trade, but again, because we used correct position sizing, the loss would have been kept small and under control. But the main trade setup was this Holy Grail trade setup here, which, as we've already seen, would have gone down into at least the typical wave 3 WPT. Then, because the STF was strong, would have been trailed with the ATR stop down to there and got stopped out there, and the result was a very nice +6.5R, or in other words, the profit was approximately 6.5 times the initial risk. And that's why the Holy Grail trade setup is my favorite trade setup, and is actually the trade setup that, or was actually the reason why MTPredictor was created in the first place, to be able to catch the very start of the wave 2 to then be able to trade the strongest wave 3, and as such be able to get the best trade setup in a completed Elliott 5-wave sequence. As a last PS for this, if I just do clear all, for those of you who are really advanced and want to put the manual WPTs on, you can see that there was wave 1 there, wave 2, wave 3. This was then a complex wave 4. We know by Elliott wave that wave 4s are usually complex and usually the hardest to trade. But just again, look where the low of the day came in, right at the minimum wave 5 WPT. Also, if I put the DP off this prior low, again, that projected in advance the area that caught the very low of the day as well. So again, these tools are available, but the most important point is that these tools are predictive. In other words, they are on the chart in advance before the market's even got there. So you'd have been prepared for this particular support zone before the market even got there. So with experience, you can have tools like this that allow you to project in advance these support and resistance zones, and also to know which trade setups to take that fall in the direction of the large degree trend. So overall, a very good day for MTPredictor customers on the YM yesterday.